Hopefully you'll be able to hear my voice without a microphone, so keep it quiet. So I'm really honored to receive this award, and thank you CPA for this very special award. I'm truly honored and considered to be in the same company of the previous recipients. I want to thank members of CPA for all that they do to promote and lobby for historic preservation. Without you, we wouldn't have the historic tax credit program and wouldn't be enjoying the successes in historic preservation that makes Connecticut an example for other states to follow. I also want to thank my staff who do the actual work on our historic tax credit preservation projects, particularly Nina Caruso, our Director of Historic Preservation, and Dave Goslin and Mike Weisberg, our principals who manage the architectural effort of our historic tax credit projects. Without their experience and enthusiasm, our projects would not be so successful. In the late 70s, while I was at Syracuse University working toward my architecture degree, I was given an opportunity to concentrate my electives into a specific area of interest and receive a second degree, so I chose architectural history. I've always had an interpersonal calling to save and refurbish old decrepit things, like clocks and chairs, which are some of my hobbies. I see the value in their past life and history, and as I applied this interest to my architectural career, it led me to historic preservation. But my particular passion was taking old run-down buildings with inherent value, often on the brink of collapse, demolition, or other loss, and finding a way to save them and bring them back to life. Architecturally speaking, that is the type of historic preservation that I find most exciting and creatively challenging. Converting a historic building to a new use. It's a puzzle waiting to be solved, balancing the normal architectural problems of function, program, aesthetics, the technical aspects, with the opportunities, limitations, and constraints that come with the existing building. That's what I truly love, and that's how I get my kicks. If it wasn't for the state and federal historic tax credit programs, the opportunity for me to pursue this interest would be very limited or possibly not even exist. Early in my career in 1986, 2 years after starting my business, I got the chance to work on my first historic tax credit project, which was 94 to 100 Jefferson Street, right across from Hartford Hospital. At the time, the state historic tax credit program didn't exist, so it was purely a federal tax credit project. As the years moved on, being a Hartford architect and also specializing in multifamily housing, I had the opportunity to work on other historic buildings. I was introduced to and worked often with David Ransom on historic projects, me as the architect and Dave Ransom as the historic tax credit consultant. As I learned from Dave and became more experienced, and because of my interest in architectural history, I was able to learn to take on and creatively master the architectural design challenges of building conversions and restorations while complying with the Secretary of Interior guidelines and successfully navigating the SHPO NPS reviews. Eventually, Dave Ransom began hiring Crosskey architects to assist him with his work until he retired and we took over the work ourselves. I want to thank Dave Ransom for mentoring me and teaching me so much about the process and philosophy of historic tax credit projects. During that time, Linda Spencer was the SHPO historic tax credit reviewer. Linda applied the highest standards when it came to her reviews of historic tax credit applications. And as much as I learned from Dave Ransom on the owner-developer side of the picture, I learned a lot from Linda about the reviewer's perspective. Working with Linda reinforced what I had learned about in architecture school, that there's always more than one solution to any given problem. Through listening, perseverance, and creative problem solving, I learned that I could always find a solution to the problem. Eventually, I think I gained Linda's respect, and in 2005, 2006, when she was formulating the state program, she would often call me to pick my brain about how a developer would react to some of the aspects of the new program that she was developing. In 2007, the state program was finally introduced, and it really was an instant success for those developers who were sophisticated enough to take advantage of it. I want to thank Linda Spencer for all that she taught me and for all that she did to author Connecticut's Historic Tax Credit Program. Julie Carmelik took over as SHPO's reviewer after Linda Spencer. Julie's a pleasure to work with. She, like Linda, also has high standards and strong beliefs about how buildings should be preserved. But she's also open-minded, respecting and considers ideas from others, and always a team player. She may not agree with us all the time, but she always listens, discusses approaches and ideas practically and philosophically, keeping an open dialogue. She's almost always a strong advocate for owners and developers if they take the proper approach. I can't imagine how hard a job it is to be a SHPO NPS reviewer, required to interpret and enforce philosophical regulations while trying to help and encourage developers, often despite their lack of knowledge or preservation philosophy, their inappropriate approach to historic rehab conversion. But I've learned through watching and working with Julie how to be patient, professional, and open-minded. Occasionally, Julie will make a suggestion or ask a question that causes us to reflect on our approach and make adjustments to our design. The result is often a better project. Julie, thank you for being a partner in preservation and for all that you do to make the Historic Tax Credit Program a success. As Crosskey Architects assumed and integrated historic preservation consulting into our services, taking over for Dave Ransom, we began to prepare applications and interface with SHPO directly. Lauren Van Steenvoort was the first member of the Crosskey team to prepare historic tax credit applications for our projects. She was followed by Marguerite Carnell and Nina Caruso. I want to thank all three of them for doing such a fantastic job in building Crosskey Architects' reputation as the premier historic tax credit architecture firm in Connecticut, where we provide a single source, fully integrated thought process combining the historic tax credit process, historic preservation philosophy, and creative architectural problem solving. I also want to thank all of my past and present clients who have given me the opportunity to pursue my interest in historic preservation. Where would I be without you and your problems on each project? Thank you for allowing us to serve you by providing our knowledge, experience, and creativity, leading to successful award-winning projects. Credit is due to all those above who I've mentioned and to all of you that I've worked with in the past. I couldn't have done it without you. Working with you has molded me into the architect I am today. So you have my sincere thanks. I also want to recognize my family who's here tonight, my mom, who's grew me up in the Valley, and my wife, Leona, who's in the back, who supported me. And my daughter, Laura, who's an architect who is now with Crosskey Architects and has turned it into a family business. As we look forward to the future of historic preservation in Connecticut, we can be proud of our state program as being one of the best in the country. I'm optimistic that because of the success of the program as an economic development engine, that the program will not only be continued, but will be expanded to allow an even greater number of Connecticut's historic assets to be preserved and repurposed. I know that my colleagues, CPA, and the Connecticut Trust share that hope, and that we as the preservation community will continue to publicize the successes of the program and to lobby for its expansion. As I set my goals for the future, I plan to focus on teaching and mentoring my younger staff on historic preservation and historic tax credits, continuing to work on new preservation projects, educating and assisting new clients on historic tax credits, but not just for the big projects, also for the medium and small size projects. Assisting in making the historic tax credit process easier to understand for the general developer public. Continuing to promote the historic tax credit program and continuing my career interest in saving historic buildings and bringing them back to life. Thanks to all my colleagues in the preservation community, especially CPA, for this incredible award. I'm deeply honored to receive it. Thank you.